on the on an email that I received yesterday, and reading the email on my cell phone, and it's from a young man, a very young man, about the age of 32, coming for the very first time to the seminar in Berlin. A young man, like so many people, watching documentaries, reading current magazines, reading papers and scientific notes that students and professors and even lay people that are out there giving more information about extinction of little insects and animals and new findings of insects and animals and birds and fishes. And we're getting pluses and minuses all over the world. People that are having adding the males adding a few more years to their life, and in some cases females are losing a few years of their life. And there's a fluctuation continuously taking place all over this world. And reading this, and there's so many clouds below the airplane, and as we were approaching Düsseldorf, and such a very large community, something like 15 million people. And the city goes on and on and on, 50 kilometers, this whole community, 50 kilometers. And here I'm reading this email, and this young man, he's very concerned about the amount of petrol that is being used and the fumes pumped up into our atmosphere. And he goes on and on and on of the actual facts that are taking place on this planet. But the one thing that caught my eye more than anything else, his statement when he's on an airplane and the airplane is taking off or the airplane is landing, how most people are reading newspapers already, even while it's taking off and while it's landing. Riding airplanes so many times for the last 20 years, up and down, up and down, and up and down. I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 times in these 20 years. And that statement was his most profound statement of all. Because he could see the phenomenon, the actual phenomenon of an airplane. He really could see the actual phenomenon of the presence of a real, unusual invention that was basically impossible for millions and millions of years for humanity, and even for animals and fishes and birds too. And the phenomenon to fly, because human beings, they have flown so many kilometers in their dreams at night. So many they have flown. Even little ones when they're so young, and so many, even the adult world. And then to wake up, what we call our waking state, and to walk on a planet. And then very, very few, for most are literally under survival. Fighting for food, fighting for space, fighting for time, fighting for this and for that. But those that continue to fly, even in their waking state, to have the wings to fly like birds, like we can in our dreams. And it took millions and millions of years for that to happen. But only a few individuals in the whole of humanity took their time out away from surviving, from fighting, from just planting and just living the day and not much else, protecting their families and properties and their little things. But those that literally have the passion to want to fly and to spend the time out of their day, to spend the time out of that particular lifetime, to figure out how in the world we can fly to. Literally something quite impossible for the most of humanity. And most people would be burned at witches too, if that were the case. And yet these witches, these beautiful, beautiful witches, the passion inside their gut, inside, running through their nervous system, the excitement in their blood, a phenomenon, no doubt it is, something out of the air, out of the blue, a glider, an airplane, a jet, and now we have rockets. And yes, it is true what he said. It's astonishing how people just pick up the newspaper, that out of the countless millions of years, and now we are going up into the air and even fly much higher than the eagles. Fly so much higher than them. Even close to the upper atmosphere of outer space of this planet we are. That is a phenomenon. But how easily we have literally turned that into nothing. And we pick up the newspapers and just read, and it's no big deal. And yet it is. In essence, we live in our heads. In essence, that literally tells us we literally live in our heads. And everything's so confined and so conditioned and so labelized that we have literally forgotten how everything was put together in a very, very short period of time in the last 200 years. And in the last 100 years, most everything was put together. Everything from very sophisticated toilets to very sophisticated cement now that can actually be applied underneath the ocean, in cold ocean and in oceans that are warm to and solidify within minutes. The miracles that we have turned over, literally dug our fingers into the earth and pulled out the various metals and literally found other uses for them besides lying in the ground. But when all of humanity and civilization picks up the newspaper as a phenomenon has taken place, and to pick up the newspaper and not really take heed of that, it is like a human being. A society would call a 21st human being, not really thinking of the foods they are eating, but too busy talking and too busy thinking, and just slap it in the mouth and just chew away. Because what happens there? The stomach cannot really digest the food so well, because we have literally turned it into a thing. As we are gliding away in our thoughts and in our stories in our head. You see, it is a phenomenon to actually exist. It is a real phenomenon to actually have a biological body. And the relationship of our eyes and the relationship of our hands to actually hold one grape, just one grape. But it is the relationship of how we hold that grape, and it's the relationship of how we look at that grape and what it is that we are going to about to consume, and the appreciation to have a grape in the middle of winter and to understand where they come from, and to understand the means and the petrol, and to understand not only the effort that it takes to get it here, so you could have that one grape in the middle of winter. We stay human beings by literally appreciating all that we have. This is how we learn to stay kind. This is how we learn to understand what in the world our little simple words are about. This is really what it means. It is the little things that count so much. Not a big fat paycheck. Not a huge car. And not a big 747. And not a winner of a lotto game. But it is the little things. Like all the billions and billions of biological cells that it literally comprises for you to have a face, a nose and eyes, and eyelids too, so you can smile. It is the little things that have put us together. And yet, when it comes down to it, when we find ourselves with a fever so high, there's no more common sense, that we can really easily feel the demise of ourselves due to the intensity of the heat. And so many pass away that the fever is too much. And the civilized 21st century human being no longer exists. Dignity no longer exists. For we feel the fragileness, the complete fragileness of ourselves. So it is not the good days that tells us who we are. It is not the times when we can say that we are right. It is not the days that we can see that our intelligence shows its face to us and we are praised for it. It is the simple and quiet and lonely days. It is the days when we are hungry too, and we can feel the hunger inside. We can feel the wants inside. They are the moments that we cry, whether of joy or sorrow. It is the little things that brings us back to our blood, that tells us who we are. And yet it is also to never forget not just the inventors that has given us our lifestyle. For if we did not have any of this lifestyle, we did not have any of these goodies, we would all be very, very different people. And it is due to those that have really taken care of the very simple things. The fabric to make a wing, and the mechanics to put an engine together, and to smile and never to forget what a phenomenon it is to fly. As it is never to forget the phenomenon of what put you together to sit there in this chair and to spend so many decades walking on a planet such as we do. This poster back there, you be sure and read it first. Literally read it first. And you can see really what has always been above your head all this time. Even when you were the age of 2 and 5 and the age of 9 too. It was always above your head. And the phenomenon of a reality that's much, much bigger and greater than ours, even though we have the education that we think we're so smart, to literally see infinity, to contemplate it to some degree, that's always been above our heads. And yet we find ourselves on a scale so small, it is hard to comprehend that with our very simple minds. So small our thinking really is. But if those individuals can walk away and with a passion and spend years hoping to get a human being to fly like the birds, it tells us that it takes years for us also to teach ourselves to fly, not only in the sky, but in the sky of our minds, where we have never flown before. And this is really what it takes to literally dive into ourselves. To take the macrocosm, but we have to understand what the macrocosm is, and that is the macrocosm back there. And yet we are in it. And to understand the microcosm, the very, very small, which is us, as we can see on this poster, smaller than a piece of dust. And the phenomenon that we are actually flying through space, actually. We've already have been given the wings, and the wings is actually this planet, literally traveling at great speeds through space. But most of us do not care where it is going or how many times it has literally rotated on its own axis. But when a human being cares and watches the birds, when a human being cares and literally starts to observe and watch the earth as much as possible from any angle it can, to fly, to literally to fly. And then one can understand really what the Buddha and what those words actually mean. And then one can understand what it is, not just to awaken and not just enlightenment, but really what flying is all about. That we already are flying. It's just that we have literally found ourselves being mesmerized by an economy. And we fly with the economy well. We drive our automobiles. We even drive in taxi cabs. We can even go on small boats and ships too. We go in stores and banks and supermarkets too. We can find and design all kinds of clothing and shoes too. For we do that very well. We understand the workings quite well. We keep up with it in the newspapers and radios and magazines too. But I wonder what lies outside what is really a greater reality than what we think and what we live and what we have found ourselves nailed to within this society. And yet this society is so beautiful, it actually is. So beautiful. For look at the life that it has given us. And if we can manage to do that in the first 20 years of our existence and do it well, and even do it better by the time we reach our 40s and 50s and 60s. That means we can actually understand a microcosm and a macrocosm that we have never literally touched, that we have never literally breathed, that we have never literally walked into with ourselves. So when you take off on an airplane, remember the phenomenon of an airplane. Really quite impossible, but somebody did it. Not you, somebody else did it. And then our eyes can open up. It's too easy to claim why you are the way you are in the lifestyle that you have, that you did it. You did not do it. The lifestyle gave us the way we are. The lifestyle gave us our direction. Running water in pipes, bathtubs and showers. Glass, the beauty of glass. Glass, the beauty of glass. Who invented that? Who gave us that? And carpenters, I really thank you so. Carpenters, I really love you so. For I even tried to be a carpenter, but how I was not good. And to give us not only doors and drawers, cabinets and tables. How you made our lifestyles so much more cozy and warm. And when you think of inventions, you think of those very, very few individuals that literally spent a very, very long time and many, many months and years inventing electricity and the telephone. Wire that is alive. What that literally did for us. We did not do that. Someone else did. And this leads us to all the young soldiers going back tens and tens of thousands of years of all the young soldiers forced to fight. And most were killed. For it was these soldiers that literally helped to give us our lifestyle too. That made our lifestyle so comfortable for us today. This is real. This touches one's heart. This touches our blood. This keeps us simple. And the appreciation from morning to night, how can we forget? And the phenomenons that we all come about, of not just beautiful automobiles, but old ones too. How can we forget from morning to night? Like children, the beauty of it all. I will never forget one time I was at a big gathering, and this Lama, who was a very good speaker, he got everybody to pray, 1,500 people to pray, and praying out loud that the Spirit will take him out of this hell, out of this earthly hell, and take him into nirvana and peace. And I could see, my God, this Lama doesn't even know what he is talking about. A Lama full of fear and ignorance. The Lama has no idea really what the facts are and what science is. The Lama has no idea what the past is and is paying attention to the fear that literally is running through his bones and scaring the hell out of people. And here, looking at this poster and realizing out of 15 billion years our existence of this universe, to have a lifetime, just one lifetime, on a planet that should not exist, when you calculate the distance between the suns and cold and heat, and to find ourselves a very happy medium, so to speak, of temperature, because that is what we are dealing with, is temperature. And in a very, very small gauge, once you understand it, it's only a matter of a few degrees that we can exist. And we are here not to run from it. And somehow we have won the lotto to exist, the lotto to have a biological body, the lotto to have the time and space to have actual eyes that can literally see light coming from afar. Billions and billions of light years it did exist and is still traveling through space, and we're able to catch this phenomenon not only with telescopes, but with our physical eyes. We're able to literally to see and watch little springs and brooks to be born, that they can turn into the Ganges, vast rivers, and little fish swimming upstream to where they were born. We're able to watch the phenomenon of a multitude of millions and millions of species that we live amongst, and to coexist in such ways that we can be peaceful with each other. We experience the phenomenon of light and darkness, and we don't even really know why both really exist. And yet we find ourselves learning in such ways that so many new pages in the Science Digest are going to constantly expand to tens of thousands of more pages where the pages are right now blank. And what we discover today in 500 years, we're going to look very ignorant. And what we will discover in 1,000 years from now, we're going to look very ignorant today, and yet we think we're smart today. And yet even us today, we have the means to break out of this little bubble that we find ourselves so comfortably relaxed and protected by soldiers. So we can use our vision and our eyes not only to see afar, but to see what is not yet to come. For it's the little things that we begin to see and appreciate. The beauty of having one lifetime out of 15 billion years. Who is lucky? Who can say anyone is not lucky and not fortunate? To have hair that grows all over our bodies and the top of our heads too. To have the means to hate and to love so quickly we can. So magical that is. And to have the means to walk on a planet and not even know we are alive. We're too busy in our heads. How magical that is. And yet we have the means of using the microscope to go inside of us to actually feel the vibratory rate of our own bones, if you wish. If you wish. If you wish. Let's fire dance.